quick, the biggies need to get out of this. Here's the introduction. There's lots and lots of stuff going on at the 19th century. Duh, there's always lots and lots of stuff going on. But there is a huge, huge shift towards an industrialization. So the Industrial Revolution is just in its baby stages. We're about to kick off. We have immigrants streaming in from all over the world, especially those Scots-Irish, Irish, Germans. We've seen that, and we've seen the effects of that. For instance, the Paxton Boys rebellions. And with that comes a lot of thought from Europe. The Enlightenment, we've seen the effects that it had on the Revolution, but it also begins to have an effect on culture throughout the colonies, throughout now America, and that's going to reverberate. But we begin to see the birth of American exceptionalism. We begin to see the birth of American ideals, and that the ideals of the Revolution begin to put their little touches on everything here. They begin to make their impact. The ideas of liberty, the ideas of revolution begin to make an impact on our culture, on our art, on our religion. We're going to see that in this very short lecture. So on religion, the biggies that are coming into this, they're biggies from the Enlightenment. We see deism, we see utilitarianism, Unitarianism. And Thomas Paine's Age of Reason in many ways bashes religion. It's similar to kind of the Marxist idea of religion, is that it's set up to enslave mankind, the opium of the masses, monopolize power and profit. And many times it had been used as such. We've seen that throughout especially the history of the Catholic Church. You all should understand and see that well, that it could very easily be misconstrued that way. Deism is a belief that there is a God, but it's kind of like a clockwork God, that he set everything in motion and then went all laissez-faire, hands off, and just kind of let it go. Many of our founding fathers felt this way. We had Thomas Jefferson, one of the most famous deists, wrote about it often, Benjamin Franklin. And then Unitarianism didn't believe in the Christian interpretation of God. Jesus was not divine. They were kind of Debbie Downers about a little bit of everything. It was a little bit depressing to be a Unitarianism. But they had this hoi polloi, like higher ideal of themselves, and they thought that they were basically better than everyone because they were smarter and therefore didn't believe in the Christian interpretation of God. And so what's going to come out of all of this is a new interpretation of religion, the Second Great Awakening. We didn't spend much time on the First Great Awakening. It's mostly the hellfire, brimstone, sinners in the hands of an angry God. Like, you're all going to hell except for a few of you. So we see a transition from the helplessness of that Calvinism, predestination, to an empowerment. The ideals of the American Revolution begin to kind of put the power back into your hands. And the Second Great Awakening comes out of that. It is a way for us to it's a way for individuals to all of a sudden be empowered. It takes religion and says, you can, via your acts, via your actions, it's a combination of faith and acts, much in the way that the Catholic Church views religion, that you have that combination between faith and acts, and the two of those are what gets you to heaven. So you can, out of your own free will, out of your own power, get to heaven, which is a very, in many ways, American idea. Women are clearly huge supporters of this. Women take on a brand new role in the church. They begin to take on new ideas, and this empowerment instills in them the belief that they do have rights, they do have abilities. We see temperance, suffrage, abolition. And so women begin to be empowered by the Second Great Awakening. These camp meetings, for instance, this image over here, see a famous camp meeting, I believe that's in New York State. Charles Finney, Peter Cartwright, these men that will just bring people in from all over the state and talk for hours, for days, about this new religion, about these new ideas. And we see that the burned over district is kind of born again, that burned over district in western New York, where they said the fire and brimstone was so prevalent that they actually referred to it as a district that had been burned over by fire. In art, you see it affected by this as well. You see the Hudson River School develop. We're going to look at a few examples of this, but Romanticism, these American ideals of liberty and beauty in all things, painting in the Hudson River Valley, painting of Yosemite Valley, it's all nature-based, but it's also a romantic view, this American exceptionalism. So you see Yosemite Valley, Lake Tahoe, Washington crossing the Delaware. Look, you have rays of sunshine coming down in the background, crossing, eloquently, Washington looking like a boss the whole time. He's got his cape flowing behind him, the flag billowing in the freezing cold winds. There's no way this is what it looked like. Like crossing the Delaware had to be about the most miserable thing you could possibly do, knowing you were probably just going to die once you got over there. This is nothing what it looked like. But this is that romantic view of it: American exceptionalism, liberty, revolution, America. Finally, Transcendentalism is once again a reaction to that Enlightenment, Unitarianism, deism. But a lot of these big poets that we see, Ralph Waldo Emerson, Walt Whitman, Henry David Thoreau, some of my absolute favorite poets, come out of this movement in this belief that you can achieve enlightenment, that you can achieve almost a state of nirvana. It takes some influence from Buddhism as well, that you can take this and you can reach almost a spiritual perfection. You can reach tranquility. You can reach oneness with God whenever you find these moments of peace. And Henry David Thoreau did that, for instance, in The Woods, which we see from Walden, some of his famous works. Ralph Waldo Emerson, initially a preacher, wanted to take more of a spiritual look at life and believed more in that meditation, believed more that if we could create a unique American culture, we can combine all of that together and we can create an idea out of that, transcendentalism. It's not so much a religion, but more of a philosophy, an idea. Thoreau had probably the most impact, especially with Walden or Life in the Woods. Wanted to live simply, nonviolent approach to life. Transcendentalism, once again, as with all things. All right, finally, what do you need to know? It's all listed out here. The Second Great Awakening, you get a third revolution of sorts compared to the political, economic, and now we see a cultural revolution, response to the Enlightenment thought. It adds ideals of revolution to religion, to culture, to art, and the effects of the Second Great Awakening. We see transcendentalism, revival of culture, leads to more educated people, the touching of the ideals, the revolution on everything. More educated society all of a sudden begins to see problems and wants to change it. We said the women begin to call for suffrage. The abolition movement spring up all over the North. This is going to add to a huge regional conflict. This is going to continue to impact the desire to break away between the North and the South. The North consistently has that idea that, I guess now they think that they're better than the South. They believe that they have this new ideas and they want to change those things. The South is not going to get on board with this. The Second Great Awakening is not going to have nearly as much of an effect. And then women's reform even begins to go so far as to believe they have control over their own bodies, to go so far as we begin to see the call for birth control, begin to see the call for suffrage. So in all things, remember that the ideals of the revolution begin to make contact with all parts of society and all parts of life. And we see that in multiple ways: religion, art, and culture. Thanks, guys. Hope it wasn't too long, wasn't too painful. If you have any questions, let me know. Email me, tweet at me, get at me. I'll see you in class. Peace out.